Hi and welcome. Now today it's some simple maintenance on the Bandit. It's time to change the clutch fluid. Now Suzuki recommend changing the clutch fluid every 2 years and changing the hoses every 4. Given that I have no idea how long the clutch hose has been on this bike, and for all I know it could still be the original one that came out of the factory with, I'm changing that as well. Since I'm changing the fluid, it's not much harder to actually change the hose as well. So that's what I'm doing today. So a change of the clutch fluid and the clutch hose. If you've bled brakes, then changing the clutch is not a lot different really. It's the same process. So let's get into it. So first things first, let's route the new hose down alongside the old one. Now this end here is straight, which matches the current end down here, and the other has a slight bend to it, which matches the top end here. So first things first, let's get this cover panel out of the way. And because I've got this bit of conduit here, the clutch cable's going behind it, I'm just going to remove this clip so I can get in here and run the new cable. Right, that's freed off. The cable now runs down here, around there, and back out here. So let's run the new one beside it. And now we know both hoses are the same length, because that would be a real pain in the arse to taking the old hose off and then found the new one didn't fit. Remove the 2 screws. Now, although this is actually a posi-drive screw, it's a Japanese posi-drive screw, or JIS screw, and they're not quite the same. And so it's very easy to mince them if you use posi-drive or whatever. So ideally get yourself some JIS screwdrivers, because they will then fit all the screws on your bike, and you'll be able to remove them without mincing them. All the fittings here I've had soaking for the last couple of days in some releasing fluid, so in theory they should just come straight off. Just ease them out, a little bit of wiggling, lots of pressure straight down so the screwdriver doesn't slip. Now that penetrating fluid down into the thread. Although it has to be said, given the rust on that screw, we can't see that, none of that penetrating fluid got down there at all. And I think I'm going to be ordering some new screws, because although the heads are fine, those threads are rusty. Now, as ever, when you take these covers off, make sure you've cleaned them first so there's no dirt falls in, although we are replacing the fluid, so no point introducing more dirt. And don't turn this cover upside down. It's very tempting just to take it off and turn it upside down to stop it leaking everywhere. Oh yes, that is well overdue for changing. Just look at that lovely brown colour of that clutch fluid. So I'd say this is easily due for changing. So that needed doing even if I wasn't changing the hoses. Right, let's get this drained out. The worst of it anyway. A bit tight. Now remember, dot 4 is corrosive to your paint, so make sure you have the means to catch anything that's going to dribble out of here, which it will. But before I remove this bolt fully, I'm going to crack off the bottom bolt as well. And open the bleed screw, just to let the remaining fluid out. You'll need to remove the cable clamp. It's just a cable tie that's up just above the fuel tap. Okay, clutch hose has now had a chance to drain out, so I'm going to get that out of the way and start putting the new hose on. Now I'm going to start up here with the top hose, because I want to make sure this goes on the right way around, because obviously it's cranked, so it has to go on a certain way. And what I don't want is for the hose to be twisted all the way down. You can see at the moment it's sitting the wrong way around, so I need to turn this hose 180 degrees, and I don't want to have a 180 degree kink in my cable, so you know, because it does change at the other end. So I want to get this one on just in place first, and then line it up and put the bottom one in. Now it turned out that the banjo bolts that had been supplied with the kit were the wrong ones. They had a coarse thread instead of a fine thread, so I'm going to use these for now. I'm going to go back to the kit supplier and see what they have to say about the subject, which means I might be changing these banjo bolts again in the not too distant future, because it would be nice to have some stainless bolts to go with the new hoses, which have all stainless fittings. Now I've put new copper washers in. There is a torque setting for this, but frankly I just tighten them up a little bit until they're tight, until they snug up. If you start to get a bit of clutch fluid weeping out, then tighten it up a little bit more. I'm always a little bit cautious, having actually snapped these before. Not these ones, but the doubles you can get, which actually have a much lower torque value than these ones, but sometimes the manufacturers don't tell you that and say that the torque is the same for all bolts, and then you snap them. So now I just snug up and keep an eye on them. But anyway, this one's only hand tight because now I'm going to feed that cable down through to the bottom. Bolt is now snugged up and the cable is following the same routing as the original. What I need to do now is to put the cable clamp back into place down here, and tighten up that cable clip again, which is a reusable one, by the way, so don't cut it when you're taking it off. Dot 4 brake fluid, or hydraulic fluid, whatever you want to call it, universal brake and clutch fluid. 100 ways to bleed a set of brakes or a clutch, all of which work, and I vary between them, but mostly I tend to use the old-fashioned way, but sometimes I like to try different things. This one is a little bit counterintuitive, but it sort of works sometimes. The idea is that air will always rise through your system. It's the same principle as tying the lever back and leaving it overnight for the air bubbles to flow their way back up through the system. Now I'm starting to feel some pressure on the brake lever, or clutch lever even. Now, the same engineer who taught me that way of bleeding also taught me to not just rip the top of this off, but have a little hole and an air hole, so you've got controlled pour. Okay, so most of the air seems out of the system. To be fair, it is a little bit harder to bleed the clutch than it is the brakes, because with the brakes you get a firm feel. When you pull the lever in, it goes hard and then it just gets harder and harder. But of course with this, what you're doing is you're actuating the clutch. So the moment you get clutch pressure, then you get this, yep, that's hard. Oh, and now I'm pushing the clutch in. So it keeps going. But I've now just doing a bit of traditional bleeding. So, and when I turn the spanner and then close it again, I can hear fluid running in, because I don't have a clear pipe, so I can't check for air bubbles. But I'm quite happy the air is out of the system, having bled it from the top. So I'm just going to put a bit more fluid in. Fluid is topped up to the top now. So it's just a question of reassembling in the order of disassembly. So diaphragm, plastic cover, and metal cover. The only thing I need to do now is just clean up those screws. I've got to order in for some new screws, so when they come in I'm going to change these out, but for now I'm just going to clean the threads up a little bit, put a little grease in them and put them back in. I've got a very fine thread on these, so don't over tighten them, just snug them, and again, if you should get any leakage, tighten them up a little bit. So there we go, job done. Clutch bled, new hose, dry everything off, check for leaks, keep an eye on it, and so it's quite easy. No reason at all that you can't do it for yourself. So great, thanks for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys again next time.